I've started the recording. Welcome to this Sunday's session. We are continuing to go through the Emacs manual, and we are in the basic editing section. And if you have not watched the previous session, I had uploaded the video on my channel here, so you can watch the part 1 of it. So we will continue with the rest of the sections in the basic editing commands part of the manual. Feel free to type in the chat and ask any questions. Let me paste the link to the manual, and I'll also share the link to the YouTube channel. So this work is of course done by Thomas, and so he's nicely done the HTML rendering for the documentation, and so we can actually use that for going through the manual. And of course I'll be showing the commands that I'm typing and also the Emacs window. So feel free to ask any questions. And we're currently going through the erasing text. That's what we need to start today. Let me paste the link to the channel as well, so that you can later watch the previous videos. I'll also upload this video at the end of this session. So one thing that I didn't have on my system running Ubuntu is that we couldn't see the Unicode characters when we're trying the Control X enter option. So let me quickly show you that here. So I'm going to start Emacs from the terminal so you can see the bigger text. So when we did Control X, just going to the Emacs frame here, Control X8 enter, okay, it prompts for insert character, Unicode, name or hex. If I had tab, right, it will try to do some auto completion, right. So you will see some Unicode characters coming here, right. Now if I hit like backtrain OCaml, for example, right, this is a read-only buffer. So let's see. If I do Control X8 enter, let's say I do backtrain OCaml, it prints the Unicode one here, right. This is in the terminal. So let's close this. Let's open the graphical one. So if I go to scratch buffer, we enlarge this a bit. If I hit Control X8 enter and hit the backtrain camel, for example, it actually prints the camel, right. So in the graphical interface, you can actually see the Unicode characters. Right, so I can hit Control X8 enter and hit tab here, keep hitting tab, it actually shows the Unicode characters, okay. So something that we didn't see from the terminal in the previous session. So I just want to update you on this. Okay, so let's go back to the terminal Emacs so you can see the mode line, the echo area and all that, and we will continue with the erasing section. So you can use del backspace, okay. These are used to delete the character before the point, or if there's a region is active. Remember, the del is not the delete key. The delete key will delete the character on the cursor. So this is a read-only buffer. Let's go to the scratch buffer. This is a sample text. So if I hit the del key, it deletes the character under the cursor, which is a dot. If I go back and I hit del, it deletes that. But we want to try to use as much of the keyboard keys. So the way to delete it is, if I go to like T here and hit Control D, it will delete the character at the point actually. That's delete hyphen car, right? That's the thing that's called. Now you can also do Control A, we've seen, go to the beginning of the line, and then I can hit Control K, which will delete all the characters till the end of the line. Okay, let's kill to the end of the line. Let's type this text again. What text? That is not safe, just for example, right? And if I want to like kill a word, I can do Alt D, delete. Okay, that's this one. If you want to do a previous backward kill, you can do Alt, this is the del key, or Alt backspace, right? Alt backspace will delete the previous word. Okay. So these are some basic erasing text commands that you should be familiar with. Now, if a region is active, del will delete the text in the region. So later on, I'll show you how to do the marking and deletion for a region. For Control D, if the point is at the end of the line, it just deletes that new line and it will joins the following line to it. Right. Let's move on to the next section, which is undoing changes. So you can use Control / or Control XU or Control _, right? Each one of these is still applicable. So let's do Control / or Control XU, Control XU. So I'm undoing all those changes, right? So Control XU is mapped here. Is basically undo. Okay, so back there. Now, normally it undoes the last change, but we can keep moving back to where it was before the change. Okay, we can keep repeating this, and if there are no more changes to be done, it just displays an error message and it does nothing. Okay, this is the basic undo. So Control XU is currently mapped by the default configuration. Okay, this is what is given here. If you repeat this, undoes. If no more changes are done, it displays an error and does nothing. You can always check the messages buffer for any specific errors. Let's move on to the file section. So to edit a file, I can do Control X F. So then at the mini buffer, you see there's a prompt. It says find file. I can give up a path to a file. Let's say if I see if there is any file here. There is nothing specific here, right? But you can give a path here and open the file. Basically, it is the find -file which is used here, and what it will do is it will create a new buffer. It will copy the contents to the buffer and it displays the same for editing. So let's say I do code Twitch, say I'm opening this ocaml.org file. Now it opens this file. It's basically Emacs org file, but this is not the actual file that you're editing. It's actually the buffer in Emacs that you're editing. So if I make some changes here, let's say I add a title here. If you see here, it's the buffer says it's modified, right? And if I want to save it, I'll have to use Control X, Control S. Okay, that is to save the contents of the buffer. Just save buffer. And again, if you don't want this, I can just Control X U, undo, and buffer is now to the unmodified state. Okay. And to kill the buffer, I can just say Control X K, kill buffer, it will kill it. Okay. So now if I open the file, it still has the unmodified changes. They have not saved any change to it. You can also create a new file. Say I do /temp foo.txt, it will open a new file. So I can just type something like foo, and then I can save the file, Control X, Control S to save the file. Right, so it's very easy to remember. Control F to find a file, yes to save the file, and so on. Right. Let's move on to the help section. Here we have this, let's scale this file. Now if you want to find out what does a key do, right, so you can use the Control H K command, which is the describe key option. So for example, I can do Control H K, then it prompts for describe the following key, mouse click or menu item. I'm just say Control N. It tells me that it is bound to next line. Control N is for next line, Control P is for previous line, right? So that's what we have here. That gives the location where this function is defined in simple.el, what it is bound to, some arguments, and some more description here. Okay. Now in some systems, F1 is also mapped. Let me just close that one. So if I press F1, it's not mapped in the system here, but okay. In some systems, F1 it can also be as an alias for Control H. So if you forget what a key does, you can use this Control HK to find out what the key corresponds to. So H basically stands for help, and most of these kind of short mnemonic commands are easy to remember. You don't have to like memorize anything. As you use them, you will be able to quickly follow them. Next, let's go to blank lines. So to insert a blank line after a cursor, right, you can use Control O, which is basically open line. So let's say I have this buffer is for text, and if I want to insert a blank line, I just say Control O, 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 and so on, right? Let's create a second line so you can see the difference. Okay, from here, if I press Control O, it will open new line below, but the point is still at the same place. Now if I do Control J, it will open a new line, right, and a cursor will move down. Okay, that's a difference earlier. Now if I want to say delete all but one line, I can do Control X, Control O. So it will just keep one new line. So it will delete all the other lines. Okay, so that's the blank line that is described here. Let's move on to continuation lines. Now in this example here, this is one logical line, right? So at the end you see there is a backslash, so which indicates that there is line wrapping happening. So this sentence is long and it continues to the next screen line. Okay. Now let's say I copy this here. just for example. Okay, this is a line that is crossing the screen, and since it is marked with the backslash at the end, if I do Control K, it will kill the entire logical line, by including valuation which is there in the second line. So Control K works on the logical line. Let me undo this. But if I do Control N, Control P, previous line, next line, this works on the actual screen line. Right? It doesn't. It's an exception here that you should be aware of. Okay. So on a graphical display, of course, sometimes they have a right fringe arrow. Let's see how this looks up in a graphical display. So let's go to the scratch buffer. The text size is too small. Okay. Now, there in the text version of Emacs, we saw a backslash. Here you see a right pointed arrow. This is how the display is shown. Now, of course, when you are typing, you can make Emacs automatically move to the next line. So there's something called autofill mode, which is given here. So automatically, when a new line, when a line gets too long, a new line is automatically inserted. It's called autofill mode. We look at the modes later on. Similarly, there's something called visual line mode, right, which enables you to wrap the word at word boundaries, space or tab characters at the end, so it looks nicely formatted. Of course, some of these modes also redefine some of the editing commands like Control A, Control N, Control K, so they can operate on the screen lines rather than logical lines. That's important to know. All right, let's go back to the terminal version, and let's go to the cursor position information. So what does this tell you? Alt X what line tells me I'm in line 1. Alt X line number mode, okay, it was initially enabled, so it tells me line 1. Okay. Alt X column number mode, now it's enabled, so you can see line number and column number both are displayed there. Okay. Alt equal to is for a region. I can do Alt count words, displays the buffers, lines, words and characters. That's useful to know. We have seen Control X equal to earlier. It tells the character information, the decimal, octal, hexadecimal values. Then the point represents the position as the character count, Then we have the total number of characters and percentage in the buffer and the column number. So this column number 11 and this in the mode line also matches. Right? We have seen earlier. If the what, okay, this is the what cursor position definition. If the what cursor show names is true, right, the name of the character defined by the Unicode character database is also shown. So it will show something like this here. Okay, Latin small letter C. Sometimes if the buffer is narrowed, like there is an option where you can scope down the buffer to focus on specific things, and when you do that, the additional text range is displayed. So in this example here, you see that you will see something like this when you look for the character information. You can also highlight a current line. So let's say we do Alt X HL line mode. right? It's being highlighted here. Okay. So it's useful if you want for presentations and so on, you want to focus on a specific line, you can use Alt X HL line mode. So as the cursor moves, it could be a distraction for some people might like it. So it depends on your choice. So it's good to use it if you want. Now there's also Alt X size indication mode, which will automatically display the size of the buffer, right? If you want to keep track of the size here, so 1.1K, you can actually use this option. Good. Let's move on to numeric arguments. So if there is no argument, by default the argument is 1. There are options like Alt 1, Alt 2, they are all mapped to the digit argument. Okay. So if I do something like Alt 5 CN, let's try it here, Alt 5 CN, it moves 5 lines down. You can also pass negative arguments. Alt hyphen hyphen means -1, right? Now to move down 50 lines, now this has only 24 lines, right? So I do Alt 50 Control N. Now there are no 50 lines, only 25 lines, so it moves to the maximum limit possible here. But if you actually want to insert, like say 5 zeros, I can insert it on this read-only buffer. Let's go to the scratch buffer. So if I want to insert 5 zeros, I will do Alt 5 Control U and 0. That's 5 0. So basically Control U terminates the prefix argument, the Alt 5 here, right? Now Control U alone has the special meaning of 4 times. It multiplies the argument for the next command by 4. So Control U means 16, right? So if I want to, let's copy this line for example, and let's say I want to move forward 16 characters, I can do Control U, Control F. So it moves forward 16 characters. Now you can also do Control U, Control N, or Control U, Control N, right? So go to the beginning of the buffer, Control U, Control N, right? It will scroll down a bit. Now we already seen Control O to open blank lines, right? So if I do like Control U, Control O, it will open 16 blank lines. If I want to kill 4 blank lines or 4 lines, just say Control U, Control K. Right? I can do that. Now if I want to insert 64 copies of the letter A, for example, I can do Control U, 64 A. Now you can separate the argument from the digit with another Control U. I've mentioned that before. So if I do something like Control U, 64, Control U, 1, right? It inserts 64 copies of character 1. Sometimes when you have like long paragraphs, you can use Alt Q to fill the paragraph. You will use it when you are doing a lot of editing. Of course, Control K with an argument N can kill N lines. Right. Let's say I do Control U, 3, Control K, deletes 3 lines for me. And on graphical displays, Control 0, Control 1 is the same as Alt 0, Alt 1. So that is mentioned here. Okay, this is about numeric arguments. Let's go to the last section on in the basic AT commands, which is repeating a command. So if the command you want to repeat, it needs user input like alt text, command name, return, these types of commands, where it requires you to, it prompts you and it wants you to enter some values. It may not be possible to use this control U. So there's another option called control XZ. This is basically the repeat command, and it will allow you to repeat the previous commands. So let's say I do control XZ here. It deleted 3 lines earlier, right? So it again issues the same previous command of killing 3 more lines. You can do control XZ again, it will again delete 3 more lines. If I do control XZ more, control X, Z, Z, Z and so on, it will keep deleting 3 lines and execute the same previous command. Okay. If you want to break out of this deletion or this previous Emacs command, you can type any character other than Z, or you can use the mouse button, but generally you can do like control P, or if you type something, it will break that repetition loop. Okay. Now another example given here is to delete 20 characters, right? So I can do control U 20 control D, so that will delete 20 characters. And if I do control X Z, it will delete another 20 characters, again Z another 20 characters, and so on, right? So this is quite handy if you want to also repeat commands in the buffer. So this covers all the important commands for you to remember and use from the basic 18 commands. We have gone through inserting text, understanding point. In today's session, we have gone through erasing text, undoing changes, look at opening, closing files, saving files, help option, inserting blank lines. What does it mean to have continuation lines? Important information regarding the cursor position, and how to repeat commands. So I encourage you to try this out on your system, practice this. I've pushed the notes for these in the GitHub repo, right? Go to, let me paste this as also in the chat. Please go through the notes and try it out. And in the next session, we will go through the mini buffer. We'll do a more deep dive on using the mini buffer for reading arguments and for using Emacs command names and so on. Okay. With that, let me stop the recording.